Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner here on YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a like and a comment.
And you can share with a friend if you enjoy it and subscribe so you're notified of new videos.
Thanks and enjoy the show.
You can't get your to-do list complete without a few tools. This week, we'll show you the ones you need.
Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Get ready for a half hour full of projects, tips, and ideas to help you improve your home.
Welcome to the show this week. You know, when you have those chores around your home, they're made a lot easier if you have the right tool. Now, if you're real serious, you may get into a big shop full of tools, but it's really inexpensive to have the basic set of tools. Now, this week, we'll look at that basic set of tools, toolboxes to take care of them, power tools, benchtop tools, and even specialized tools that you can rent from your rental center that can really make those projects go smoothly. Stay with us. We're about to cover tools from A to Z. Welcome back to the show. Now, even if you don't consider yourself a do-it-yourselfer, you're probably going to run into some things around your house that will need to be addressed. And for that, you need a few tools. Now, in front of me is what I consider the essential toolkit. Let me kind of take you through it. Now, most home improvements start with some type of measurement. Here you have a couple different tape measures from 16 feet to 25 feet. It's handy to have both sizes around, and you'll be doing some marking. So a pencil like this, it's a carpenter's pencil, has a thicker lead on it, will last a lot longer on marking pieces of wood and plywood. And then to keep everything nice and square, you've got a 90-degree angle on this side and a 45-degree angle on this side of this combination square, and a little bubble level, which will help keep things nice and level as you're working on them, say a fence you might be working with. And it's also adjustable, so it's a real handy tool to have. Now, once you get everything marked, then it's time to start cutting. A nice sharp handsaw will take care of a lot of projects around the house, and certainly will stay a lot sharper if you have the protective sleeve that generally comes with the handsaw. But if you're getting over into some metal or steel that you'll need to cut, such as a rusty bolt, then the hacksaw is the way to go with that. Also, if you're dealing with any kind of flooring like vinyl flooring or maybe some wallpaper, the utility knife is a good idea. Always use a good sharp blade, and I would suggest one that retracts back in, make it a little safer to use. Now, if you're dealt that task of having to hang a few pictures or maybe a mirror around the house, to find exactly where the studs are in the wall, made a lot easier by using an electronic stud finder. Now, these have really come down in price and are very effective in finding exactly where that stud is behind the wall. Then, to keep everything level while you're hanging those big mirrors, you can use a torpedo level like this one. Or if you're dealing with a refrigerator or washing machine, a little magnetic strip makes that a lot easier to use. Then when you're ready to hammer, of course, everybody probably has a hammer around the house. I kind of like a wooden handled hammer with a straight claw for interior, and then maybe a fiberglass handle for some of the larger projects outside. And a nail set's a real handy thing to have when you're doing any kind of finished nailing, to allow you to recess that nail just a little bit so that you can putty it up when you're doing your painting. Now, if you are dealing with a bicycle or anything with nuts and bolts around the house, then you have to have something to take care of that. The tongue and groove locking pliers, real handy because it'll adjust to several different sizes, allow you to grip even items that are round. Needle nose pliers, real handy. Wire cutters work great for cutting any type of electrical wire, and then your traditional pliers. Also, to adjust to a few of those nuts or bolts, an adjustable wrench really comes in handy so that you don't have to have quite so many tools in the toolbox. Also, you're going to be dealing with a lot of screws, and to have a Phillips head and a slotted screw driver's real important. Several different sizes will help out. Or you may decide, like a lot of people, to use a combination screwdriver like this one. It has several different bits that you can change out and move around. Real handy, saves a little bit of room and a little bit of expense in buying all of these. Painting, always at the top of a list. Good quality multi-purpose paintbrush. Putty knife, always real handy to have. And to kind of keep everything close by, a regular cloth nail apron is sufficient. There's so many different aprons out there, just your own personal preference kind of plays into that. Also, tape is very handy with electrical tape, painter's tape, masking tape, and everybody knows how handy duct tape is. Now, when you really get involved in your home improvement projects, you may step up and get a few other types of tools that will help you out even more. But you got to have a place to keep all of this. Here's a great idea. This is simply just a little cloth apron that goes around a regular 5-gallon bucket that allows you to have tools on the outside and larger tools and nails on the inside, and real easy to carry around the house or out in the yard on any of your projects. And here's a more traditional box that basically real rugged, and you're able to lift this out, have your larger tools down below, smaller tools on top. And a lot of people are loving these canvas bags, kind of like the old doctor's bag. Easy to zip open, big wide opening to reach down and get the tools, and compartments all the way around. Now, these are just some of the tools that I would consider essential to any household, and what a great gift idea for someone that's just purchased their first house. Now, when we come back after our simple solution, we'll look at the large world of power tools.
It's time to pick up a few tricks of the trade from Danny and home repair expert Joe Truini in this week's Simple Solution. Brought to you by DuPont Tyvek. Build it once, build it right.
A good quality circular saw blade can cost as much as $20 to $25, so it's important to keep it nice and sharp and nice and clean.
You're right, Danny, because a blade like this, which has a buildup of pitch and tar stuck to the teeth, not only will dull the blade and make it smoke when it goes through the wood, but it just looks awful and it looks like an old dirty blade. But I've got a way of cleaning it that works really well, and it's using just ordinary oven cleaner.
Okay.
Do me a favor and pull off a piece of this aluminum foil while I slip on these rubber gloves. And all you need to do is lay out the blade and spray both sides with the oven cleaner. And you make sure you get all the surfaces and good coating on there.
I can see where this would be good to do this outside.
Yeah, because it doesn't smell that great, and it's better off doing it in the open, fresh air. Okay, you spray both sides, wrap it up.
Okay, how long do you need to leave it like that?
I would leave it for about an hour or so. In fact, here's one that I did early in the day. And after you open it up, let's take a look at it, see what it looks like. You see a lot of that's dried up already, but if you scrub it with steel wool, you can see how much cleaner the blade. Here's all that pitch and tar. In just a few minutes, you can get it almost all cleaned off.
Okay, after you get it all cleaned, what about a little oil? Will that help it?
Yeah, I'd first wash it with water and dry it really well, and then a nice coating of oil, and store it in a dry spot.
Welcome back to the show. Now, hand tools will take care of a lot of your projects around the home, but if you really want to speed it up and make it a little easier, power tools is the way to go. Now, recently we talked with Larry Snyder, who not only loves power tools, he actually works for a power tool manufacturer. Larry, you have a little bit of everything in your shop here.
I do, Danny. Do a lot of projects, and the right tool for the right job really makes it easier.
I know that's the truth. Now, for a homeowner that's just starting to get into improving their home a little bit, what would you say are the essential power tools they just have to have?
I think what we have right here, a circular saw, makes it a lot easier than that old hand saw. A sander, of course. Sanders come in a lot of different varieties now. Triangle head type sanders, square sanders. This one happens to be a random order sander. Makes it a lot easier. And of course, a power drill.
That comes in a lot of different sizes as well.
A lot of different sizes, chuck sizes, and power also.
Okay.
And then, of course, the jigsaw. Anytime you're doing a cut other than a straight cut, jigsaws come in handy.
Now they have them in cordless.
They sure do, Danny.
That's great.
The industry's come a long way. A lot of different power tools now can be had in battery operated.
Well, it used to be just the drills is all you would see is cordless, but looks like everything's cordless now.
You've got a vacuum, a recip saw, flashlights, spiral cutter, and also a circ saw.
Now, I've heard a lot of people that are a little skeptical about the power of these things. I've used them before, and they really hold up pretty well.
It's not bad. You get about 50 cuts or so, cross-cutting 2x4s with that. You get a lot of power out of it.
And recharging the battery takes about
an hour.
About an hour.
About an hour.
Now, that's great. Well, you mentioned the recip saw. I'll tell you, all the remodeling projects that I'm involved in, you just can't really do a lot of remodeling without a recip saw. But if you're up in a kind of a tight area, having a cord really can be a problem.
It can. Battery operated makes it a lot more convenient. You're free from that extension cord. Drills also, they have a wide variety of drills, from a low end of 7.2, good for hanging curtains, curtain rods, things like that, light duty around the house. And then if you get into a lot heavier work, looking at 18 volt or higher.
Yeah, now I've used these even to put down the galvanized deck screws,
That's
which
right.
really takes a lot of
You
torque.
bet, sure does.
Now, when you're ready when a homeowner's ready to step up a little bit and maybe they have a little room in the shop, what would you suggest as far as some other tools?
To start with, I think I would go with a table saw. Nothing beats the accuracy of a table saw. If you're doing shelving or cabinet work where you have to have that accuracy versus trying to do it with a hand saw, you're going to have the accuracy with a table saw.
Yeah, that's great.
Miter saw, and this one here happens to be a compound miter saw with a laser on it. It's great for, again, deck work. It's a compound miter saw, so you can make crown molding, make your crown molding cuts.
Now, I see the trim carpenters out on the jobs. They can't make a living without this. That's certainly something they live by.
That's an essential tool for them. Routers, of course, gives you that chance to put a decorative edge if you're building a shelf or cabinet. Then you get up to the drill press. That's a benchtop model drill press. It doesn't take the space that the floor model would take, but you have that accuracy.
Now, I see a lot of people that are maybe building their own furniture, building some bookcases, where you have that repetitive need to have those accurate holes. That's really the only way to get it.
It sure is. You're going to be a lot more stable with that than if you would trying to drill down with just a drill bit in your hand. Then we have a scroll saw. It's a great craft tool. A lot of people will use that for their craft type work, little intricate cuts, and you can't beat that for that type of work.
You know, one of the things about the benchtop, it's kind of nice if you have a smaller area that you're working in. You can kind of store them away like you have there. Then as you need them, pull them out on your workbench or table to be able to use them. It really makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
It sure does. If all these were on stands, it'd be it just wouldn't have room in here.
Right, exactly. Well, Larry, you got a lot of toys here to play with.
I sure do.
Now let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out this week's best new product, brought to you by the Home Depot.
There are so many ceiling fans to choose from these days that one of the toughest parts of putting a ceiling fan in your home is deciding which one is right for it. Now, if you've ever installed a ceiling fan, you know it can take a long time, but now the guys from Hampton Bay say that you can install one of their fans in less than 20 minutes. The way you can do this is with their Quick Connect system that they've developed with their fans. Now, some of the features that they have with the fan that allows you to really speed up the process is the sliding bracket for your ceiling. This enables you just to simply take the housing and slip it right in to the ceiling mount bracket. That saves a lot of time. Also, the housing comes pre-assembled, so you're not spending a lot of time assembling the actual housing and some of the brackets that hold on the fan blades. Now, speaking of the fan blades, this is where you can really save time, because instead of fooling around with 15 or so screws to attach your fan blade to the housing, this is a simple slide and lock system that allows you to put the ceiling fan blades over the screws and lock it into place. Then, if it gets dusty later on, which inevitably it will, and you can clip it right off, clean the fan blades, makes it very easy. Now, another part of it is the spring clip light kit attachment. This allows you, if you choose to put a light kit on it, to simply clip the globes into place of the housing and not have to use all those little small screws that always seem to get lost. Now, a ceiling fan like this runs anywhere from $100 to $200, so that'll play into your decision. But instead of spending a couple hours installing a ceiling fan, pick one like this and only spend 20 minutes. You know, it used to be the only time you would ever see an air compressor was at the local gas station just to fill up those car tires. But nowadays, home improvers all over the country are realizing how nice it is to have a simple compressor and a brad gun like this. It makes it a lot easier on those benchtop projects. Now, a few weeks ago, we spoke with Brad Miller of Campbell-Hawesville to tell us a little bit more about this growing trend. Now, I can think of a lot of uses for that. Now, Brad, why have the air tools gotten so popular with homeowners?
Well, a lot of it has to do with designing the product with the homeowner in mind. We've also been able to grow with the home centers themselves, so there's much more availability and some very attractive price points.
Well, you see them everywhere now,
Sure.
and I know you guys make from the small ones that you can carry in the car with you, or the inflators that mount on the wall, up to these big industrial strength ones. How do you choose a compressor? Do you just buy the biggest one you can afford, or do you look at maybe how you're going to use it?
Well, given there are so many compressors out there in the market, it's important to look at the application and size your compressor from that. On our compressors, we have recommended, intermittent, and not recommended for this size compressor right on them compressor itself to kind of guide the consumer in the right direction.
Sure, that makes it a lot easier. As a general rule, would you buy a compressor maybe a little bit bigger than you actually need right now? Because I bet it's inevitable for people to add more and more tools to their collection.
Oh, sure, I guarantee it. They'll find more applications than they had originally planned, so it's good to be safe.
Okay, what are some of the common applications that you see that homeowners are really benefiting from the air tools?
Okay, well, a big favorite is the impact wrench. Obviously, you can use this for everything from rotating your own tires to save a little money to fastening projects, with it, whether it's a play set or a deck itself. Just turn it over and just put it right onto the bolt itself. Bust it right off.
That doesn't take long at all. I know we've used these out on the job sites a lot, where you have, you know, maybe a couple beams going together and a lot of bolts and nuts. It's a lot easier than cranking that ratchet set the whole time. Now, I know you have the air ratchet here. This is certainly handy if you're working on your own car.
Sure is. It's got a very small head, so you can get into those tight spots, and it still has the torque that is needed to appropriately tighten the bolts.
Okay. All right. What about some of the other things you have here?
Well, we have a cutoff tool. I'll put my safety glasses on. As I go to this, one thing homeowners don't realize is that how easy it is really to switch from one tool to another. All you have to do is pull that collar back, set the tool down.
Makes it a lot easier. You can go from tool to tool pretty easy
Oh,
there.
yeah. Very flexible. This cutoff tool here is great for anything from auto body work to using it to cut any kind of metal, really.
Okay. All right. Great.
So I'll just go ahead and...
Well, you do need some glasses when you're dealing with
Yeah,
that.
that's a fun one.
That's perfect. You know, something else I'm seeing everywhere. Used to, a pneumatic nailer was only used by the professionals, the framers and cabinet shops, that type of thing. But the price points really come down on these a good bit, and you're seeing these everywhere.
Yeah, in fact, this is the #1 tool I like to give as a gift. I gave one to my father, and he made some toy boxes for my nephews, and totally spoiled. Never use a hammer again.
Yeah, leave that hammer alone then. That's great. And I know they come in several different sizes
Sure.
for different nails and that sort of thing. And of course, there's some projects around the house you really, if you're ready to paint them the right way, you got to spray them.
Sure. Rough surfaces, wicker chairs, furniture of any kind. Obviously, it's impossible to paint with a brush. Anytime somebody does stain, this is a great way to finish a project and not leave some marks on something you worked hard on.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's great if a homeowner has a few projects on their list, they can look around at some of the air tools, can make it a lot easier. Thanks
Sure.
a lot, Brad.
Thank you.
Well, I guess you can see by now, there's a lot of tools out there available to make your home improvement projects go easier. But if you have a particular project in mind that requires kind of a specialty tool, you may not want to make that investment. You may want to check out the rental center. They have all kinds of tools like long ladders to help you on cleaning those gutters, or jackhammer to help you get rid of any of that concrete problem that you may have, or anything like floor sanders, pressure washers, or if you're talking about an outdoor project, they even have chainsaws and rototillers. Now, speaking of the outdoors, check out this week's Around the Yard.
Let's head outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Tricia Craven-Worley.
Well, Tricia, it looks more like arts and crafts than a real gardening project.
Well, actually, Danny, it's both. Arts and crafts, supervised, of course, with the children, and a plant project. What we've done is taken a soda bottle, and we want to cut it and either use a rubber band or possibly some blue tape or even a marker to mark off where you're going to cut it.
Just to keep it nice and even
To
around.
make it nice and even.
Okay.
And as you can see, we've cut just this much of the bottle off because what we're going to do is invert it into the bottle.
Okay.
Now, I've already taken this bottle and done just exactly that.
Now, how are you keeping the soil from falling down through there?
Well, we put the soil in here, and as you can see, I've put a little piece of paper towel,
Oh,
which is
okay.
biodegradable, at the bottom, but if somebody has maybe some mesh or some fabric, they could put that in there too. The whole idea is that when you put the seedlings in and water it, eventually you're going to create enough moisture that it needs to release, and it's going to release through the hole at the bottom of the bottle.
Okay, so it would drip down there, but actually, I guess you still are creating some nice humidity down in there for the
Just a
plant.
little bit of passive humidity, it's a great idea.
Okay, what about the different color bottles? Does that really matter?
The difference in color does matter a little bit. This color will help protect the roots from the sun, and regardless of whether you use this or the clear one, it's a great way to start plants.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's show. It's always a lot of fun to talk about and to look at a lot of different tools. But one of the things we didn't touch on very much is safety. Make sure you take care of ear protection, eye protection, and respirator when necessary. Well, we've only scratched the surface with all the tools that are available, but hopefully we hit on a few you can use on your next project. Till next week, I'm Danny Lipford.
Next week, a simple problem solution turns into a great new addition in carport for these homeowners. Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner. And don't forget to like, comment, and hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified of new videos.
And be sure to click around and watch some more videos while you're here.